Robinson Show.
Hey, this is Steven Van Elk. How you guys doing?
Steve, great. How you doing, man? You are a podcaster and a wedding photographer, correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Oh, man. And you do the Wedding Photo Hangover Podcast, right?
Ooh.
That's right.
How long have you been doing photography?
How long have I been doing photography? About 10 years now.
Okay.
I went to school for video production and then kind of transitioned over because my wife did photography and she got me interested in that.
That's what I thought, like, just checking your show out. I thought your wife was a photographer as well.
Well, that just cancels my question.
She's a much better photographer than I am.
Yeah.
Really?
Because my question was, how many brides have you fucked?
Oh. Jeez.
Just one, my wife.
Good
But it's
answer,
consistent,
Steve.
I can tell you that much.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. But well, is wedding photography the most lucrative of gigs for a photographer?
I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot more stuff you can do commercial-wise that'd probably make a lot more money. But here, where Jen and I live in Indianapolis, there's not a lot of commercial gigs. So wedding photography is one of the most lucrative.
That's what I was gonna say. I figured that was probably one of the top spots for a photographer. That and probably sports photography, I think would be cool. I think would be a cool gig.
Sports photography is a very cool gig, but a lot of times those guys don't get paid a lot because it's all about who gets the best shot with that.
Oh.
So they go out there and they're vying to try to get the best shot. And whoever gets the best shot gets, paid the most money or sells the most of their photos. So you go out and work for a very long time, and if you're not contracted by somebody to be there, but you're just going out and you're trying to get photos and trying to sell them, you might not make very much money.
Okay.
It's a rough world.
Yeah. Yes. What is I feel too there's probably tons of amateurs with just cell phones out there and all that
everybody's
kind of
a photographer now.
Yes,
Everybody has an iPhone.
Yes, exactly. And a filter.
Absolutely. I mean, I use filters, so there's no shame in that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. No. What's the biggest mistake that photographers make, or people trying to get into photography make?
The biggest mistake that they make? I think it's just underestimating the amount of time it takes to get your shots right, and the amount of money you have to invest into your equipment to make sure you don't screw up and lose an entire wedding. There's so many photographers that I talk to who are amateurs, and they're shooting with cameras that only shoot to one memory card. Everything that my wife and I use, it shoots to 2 memory cards. So every photo we take, there's already a backup made in camera. And we hear all these horror stories about people who are shooting to just one memory card, and then they get back to their house or whatever, and there's an error on the card, and none of the photos are good, and they just lost an entire wedding.
Yeah.
You can get taken to the cleaners if you lose a wedding. I mean, you can get sued, and they can sue you for all the money they put into the wedding.
Wow.
So
Oh my
That's
God.
something
That's gotta be a nightmare.
I definitely learned that over the years of podcasting. Right now I'm recording 3 different places. I have 2 video recordings and 1 audio recording.
Have a backup. Yes.
have you guys ever had a show just completely you lose it?
Oh my God, yes. I don't want to bring it back up because I think Rob tried to slice my throat at this point, so he got really pissed off. Yeah, back in the day, there were maybe 3 or 4 shows that I just forgot to hit the record button.
Yeah.
And now there are some shows that it's happened. Rob doesn't know this. It's happened
now now
and then, maybe in the past year, but because I have so many recorders going, I'm like, cool, I could just download the Facebook recording and this works.
Yeah, now it's good. But yeah, there were times.
There were times where I've lost entire 5 hours of show gone. Just forgot to hit that fucking record button. Yeah. You learn over the years.
An exclusive live production.
Yeah.
Wow. Man. Dustin and I on the Wedding Photo Hangover, we had a podcast where we got to the very end, and we don't do a live show like you guys because we can't handle this kind of pressure that you guys go through every single week.
It is.
But we got to the very end of the episode. We're about to say goodbye, and my computer just completely shuts down. I try to boot it back up. I get a blue screen of death, and we thought we lost the episode.
Did you lose
an hour
it,
and a half,
or did you still have it?
I ended up being able to rip the hard drive out of my laptop, and it was still on there on like a backup or something like that.
Okay.
Which I didn't even know our recording program did.
Because sometimes I use an old computer, not on the show. I have a newer laptop, but I still use my old one at home. And even when I'm recording on the program I use on that computer, and if that happens, like even if the program just crashes, it just automatically, when you restart it, it's in there.
That's cool.
It's in there.
Yeah, so we had a similar incident a year ago during Christmas. My mother and my drunk mother and her drunk boyfriend showed up dressed as Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus.
Birthday.
Same ones that ruined my birthday. They show up as Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus, and I just started using this program called XSplit, which is an amazing program, but I didn't know the full abilities of this program. So they come in, they like completely destroy a 30-minute interview that we have, and then walk out, and my mother shuts off my light switch, which powers everything that I have running, and shuts off everything. Everything is gone.
With like 5 minutes left in the interview, I didn't even get to his plugs yet. Like,
yeah, Rob was pissed. I heard like punching outside, and I'm like,
that was lawn ornaments. There were lawn ornaments outside in the back, and I started just pitching them.
Punted the lawn.
I started throwing them into the house, and they were shattering.
I was the asshole that kept on.
Oh my
feeding
god!
So
you were an asshole.
And we were like 4 hours. So that's 4 hours. That was just like, as far as we knew, 4 hours just fucking gone, because my mother was like, "Oh, I'm gonna hit the light switch and shut everything off." Right. Luckily, later that night, I was able to figure out that XSplit has a wonderful ability where you can recover anything that was recorded. So I managed to recover the entire show before that light was switched off. So,
dude,
it happens.
Wow.
It's a scary moment.
Steve, have you ever been hired for like a crazy like themed wedding?
A crazy themed wedding?
Like superheroes or something. Like, is there anything like that
Black
goes on?
magic?
Man, there's we don't get a lot of like themed weddings here. My co-host got hired to do a Doctor Who wedding, which I was super jealous of because I'm a huge like Doctor Who nerd.
Yeah.
But Jen and I don't get that stuff. We were super excited. One year we got hired to shoot a wedding on Halloween, and going into it, we thought it was going to be like people would dress up for Halloween and everything like that. And then we show up, and the bride and groom are like, yeah, actually there's going to be nobody here with any Halloween themed things at all. We want to distance ourselves from Halloween as much as possible.
What did you
married on that night? Did you go as Jack Skellington?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, what did you and your girlfriend go as? Like, you guys showed up in full costume.
Jen and I showed up. She was dressed like an angel, and I was dressed like a horny devil. So it was just a very awkward time.
And they were just like, no.
No, we're doing a wedding here. Yeah, but don't get married on Halloween then if you don't want. If you don't want some crazy thing, like, yeah, that's a cool thing. Like, if people did, I would think that'd be cool. I didn't know if you ever got any weird themes or anything like that. And I was gonna ask too if you ever were hired for a wedding that somebody got stood up at.
Ooh.
Oh,
Flambo's been there.
Haven't been hired for a wedding where somebody got split up at it. My co-host Dustin told a story like a few weeks ago on our show. He was shooting a wedding down in Mexico in Puerto Vallarta. He's the second shooter, and something happened at the wedding which caused the next day for him to see the groom taking his ring off and throwing it into the pool.
That's cool. Did he record that?
Wow.
Did he got a photo of that?
Jeez.
No, he wasn't shooting at that point in time, but he
should have
been. When they got back to America, the bride ended up divorcing the guy like within the week.
Wow.
And because of the way their prenup was writ or whatever, she got half of everything he owned.
She suckered him from the beginning. She knew what she was doing.
She knew he couldn't keep it in his pants. Wow.
Jen and I haven't had a problem with like a breakup at like the actual like wedding or anything like that.
Yeah.
We did have this one time a few years ago. Jen met with some potential clients. This is way back when we lived in Muncie, Indiana, not once we moved down to Indy. She met them at a restaurant in town, And when they showed up, the groom-to-be and the bride-to-be, the bride was extremely drunk. And the groom was like super pushy the whole time. He really wanted to get things sorted as quickly as possible. And he decided to have them sign the contract at this meeting, like the getting to know you meeting, which typically like they sign the contract later. So it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
And he also paid his deposit for the wedding in cash. And Jen thought the behavior was kind of strange, but not so strange she shouldn't take him on as a client.
Yeah.
And so a few months go by, and we get to the point where we're just like a few weeks away from the wedding. And Jen's been trying to get a hold of them to get a schedule for the day for a while, but she hasn't heard anything back from them. And then one day she just gets an email from the groom saying that the wedding is off and that he wants a full refund. But our contract doesn't allow for, full refunds because, we'd lose a ton of money on stuff like that and really screw up our budget for the whole year.
Yeah.
And so she says no, but she feels bad for him because, it's within a month of his wedding when he's having it called off and everything. So she says, he could use, the deposit and, have, her shoot an event or maybe for, a later date for something else.
Yeah.
And he just sends back a real surly email in which he tells her that maybe his ex-fiance, and then he wrote in one of the bridesmaids that was supposed to be in the wedding. Maybe his ex-fiance and one of her bridesmaids could use Jen for their wedding.
For theirs. Wow.
That's hot.
Then we never heard back from him again.
Yeah.
And we never got contacted by
you
the
should
bride
have
and the bridesmaid about their wedding. So.
You should have just.
One.
Jen should have just been like, well, I'll shoot your wedding with Barbie dolls of what it could have been, and just sent him photos of the Barbie dolls,
or
make
just
it
Photoshop.
or just Photoshop.
Man.
This is what your wedding could have been.
Your dream wedding. You could have had this.
His dream wedding, with the Barbie dolls, it would have been Barbie and Ken walking down the aisle. They get to the end of the aisle, and then
Skipper.
What's one of the other Barbies? Is it Stacy or Skipper?
Skipper.
Is down there at the end, and Barbie just kind of breaks off and goes over with her, and then they walk out together. Right?
I like that. I was gonna say too. I think I'm gonna run an ad for a divorce lawyer. I was wondering if there'd be any takers. Come take pictures of my divorce. That would be.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We have not had that happen, but I've read stories about people wanting photographers to photograph their divorces, photograph them on their wedding day over their mother's grave, weird stuff like that.
Wow. I heard the show too, Steve, where who's your co-host again? I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
Your co-host that you do the show with.
Dustin? You don't need to know his name. He's not.
Well, it was, I think, his story. He did a wedding where it was ballerinas hired for eye candy, right?
Oh yeah, that was an event Dustin and I shot together a few weeks ago.
Oh,
it was real weird.
It sounded bizarre, dude. They were in body paint and they were just basically there to be eye candy. But I get that's the thing I was thinking was it ballet dancers because strippers would have been too trashy? Is that why they had ballet dancers there? I don't get it.
I'm guessing so. Dustin's from Fort Wayne, Indiana, which the joke around here is that Fort Wayne has more stripping places than any other city per capita in the U.S.
Oh wow!
There's a lot of places there, and so I kind of made that joke to Dustin, and he gets upset about it a lot. But I think they went with the ballet dancers because it's a little bit classier, but the way that they had them dressed was not classy at all.
No, it didn't sound like it. And was it him saying his wife is an ex-professional ballet dancer, and he was like, what if she was in it 10 more years? Would she have been, asked to do that? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, his wife Corinne was a professional ballet dancer. She was more out on the East Coast when she was doing it, but
okay.
Yeah, I can't imagine her being comfortable with anything like that.
And how long have you guys been doing the podcast?
Just since last August.
Okay, because I have seen your presence on Twitter, and you're always super supportive of us, and you guys are cool, and I love the concept of the show. I think it's great.
Oh, thanks so much, guys.
No problem, dude. I like that. Like I said, with comedians, I like somebody telling something that's their story, and this is your story. And I saw too, you retweeted somebody. It was a few weeks ago, and you were like, "What does this even mean?" It was I think they said they were like visiting somewhere and they just got into wedding photography. It was like, what? Yeah, what does that mean? Like,
just getting into wedding time.
I just happened to be there, and I just look at.
I just happened to take a picture of a bride.
Yeah.
Hashtag wedding photographer expert.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck?
We had a guest on our show a little while ago, and he's telling us this story about how he was going through India with one of his friends, and they just had a camera and they're messing around with it. And then they were asked to go to a wedding, and they kind of became like the unofficial wedding photographers. And he was like, I guess that's the first wedding I ever shot. And like now he's like a pretty like famous in the wedding photography world photographer. And it's just it's weird how some people get their starts. Like,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that is super strange.
So Steve, you're gonna love this story.
Ooh.
When I was in my senior year of high school, I was taking a video production class?
Yeah, you were video production.
Nice.
Yeah, first time I ever delved into that area, and I told my aunt and uncle that, hey, I'll record your wedding.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure they don't even have that video anymore.
I want that video.
I'm pretty sure it's just terrible.
I want that video.
Like, they didn't talk to me for years after that, so.
They disowned you as family. Steve, do you need an intern? Because he'll be your guy, bro.
yeah, absolutely. I got some money to ask for. I could use somebody. I just need to know it's going to be that same quality. Though.
You can use him as a
I
scapegoat.
don't want you getting any better or worse.
You should just like
I'm
when
looking
you
for consistency.
when somebody messages you and they're like, I'm looking for somebody I can pay $20, you'll be like, I got the guy, and then just send
I'll
me.
be like, yeah, I need $20. Like, yeah, let's do this, guys. But that you did that shittily for them to not even acknowledge you after.
Yeah,
that
like
was
they
pretty bad.
never told me if they liked it or not. Like,
Did
I
they
never
have
heard from
like
them.
their foreheads cut off like back in the day?
Like I tried to edit it in video production class too, and I guess I just did a terrible job because I just never.
It's hilarious because your aunt always would say hi to me every
She
time I'd
loves
see
you.
her around.
She was like, man, I wish this Lamborghini filmed my wedding.
Oh my god!
This
Were you doing like commentary? Did you say something terrible? Like, while you were shooting it?
I don't think so. I might have been playing some like Metallica music or something while
They're
they were
gonna feel this in the morning.
Yeah.
Huh? You know what I mean?
I was like, Enter the Sandman over this kiss.
Oh, God, weddings by Slim did not work out. What's the best drunk toast you've seen at a wedding, Steve?
Oh, a drunk toast?
Yeah, or like something somebody said that they shouldn't have.
See, drunk toasts aren't very much fun. They're just really, really awkward for everybody because the person just kind of gets up there and they start rambling, but like they don't really have anything to say, and then they just end up saying things a lot. Like when I did a toast at my brother's wedding, I just kind of stood up and I was like, my brother is a great guy. And I love him so much. And everybody could just tell I hadn't prepared anything. I didn't know what I was doing. And it was just real awkward for everyone. All of my friends from college that my brother's also friends with were there. They thought it was hilarious. They knew what was going on. And everybody else was just kind of like, wow, this is terrible. But we did have a wedding. It wasn't a drunk toast. It was a completely sober toast. And the bridesmaid had taken the theme song for The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Ooh.
And she wrote her own lyrics to it about her life growing up with the bride, and it was pretty awesome.
I gotta hear that.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that does sound good. And I was gonna ask
if you look up Jennifer Van Elk photography on YouTube, it's on there somewhere.
Van Elk.
Yeah.
Okay. I will look that up. And I was going to ask, too, have you ever gotten drunk at a wedding? Like, at a gig, like, where you've had to take pictures? Have you ever gotten drunk?
That's a great question, and the answer is no. My wife, I've been shooting with her for about 8 years now, 9 years. And she made a pretty strict rule when we first started that I'm not allowed to drink ever at any wedding.
I'd be in it for the drinks. I'd be like,
it's not just for me.
Okay, she's the voice of reason.
But we were shooting a friend's wedding a few years ago, and one of the groomsmen found out I couldn't drink and just was giving me so much crap all day long about it. And then he started giving Jen crap too, because he thought like the only reason I wouldn't drink was because of her and stuff. So at the exact minute when our time was up for that wedding, I handed my camera to Jen and I walked over to him, and he was on the dance floor, like dancing kind of drunkenly, and he had a beer in his hand that he'd only taken like 1 or 2 sips out of. I just walked right up to him and I go, "That's not how you drink a beer." And I grabbed it out of his hand and I chugged it, I crumpled it, threw it on the ground, and I walked out.
Oh, you're the best.
I love that.
That is amazing.
Yeah,
when are you coming to one of my parties?
You rock, Steve. I thought you were going to say you beat the shit out of him. Like, I was like, wow. But
I love that, like, the mic drop with the beer.
Yeah.
Like, I'm done.
Wow, especially that he gave your wife a hard time. Like, that is stupid. That's stupid.
See, I felt like it was an awesome thing, like to tell people about. But in the moment when I was doing it, it just felt so awkward. Because, I just got, like, a beer up my mouth, and I'm like, look at me while I chug it.
I love it.
It's not like I shotgunned it or anything. It wasn't going down super fast.
Steve, I want to give you an example of what my drunk toast to my best buddy, the Lamborghini, would be. I've known him since like 7th grade, so say he just got married, and this would be my drunk toast. Let me
kiss the wife, Slambo. Where is she? She's right there.
Bring your life in. Yo, what up, guys? Yo, this is Slim. I've been friends with Peter Gentile since the 7th grade. We've been best friends. We've hugged a lot, and we've been through a lot of stuff. And he is the best friend that I've ever had. And I think he's really gonna make his wife happy, cause like he's made me happy throughout the years. Yeah.
That is awesome.
That's good.
Yeah, if it ever happens,
would you disown me? Would you disown me as a friend, Slambo?
That'd be funny as hell.
Yeah, no. I would expect nothing less. That is exactly what I pictured it would be.
As it should. It's as it should.
Yeah, that is exactly where you need to be in life and where you belong. Yes.
I need to get married now. Just so I can hear this speech.
It's not enough that you heard it live on the radio. Your wife needs to hear this.
Yeah, this needs to be played in a court of law. Steve, on your podcast, do you guys do like a different subject or something every show? Like, how does that work?
So, like, every single show, Dustin shows up on the night of and just reads through the show notes that I write out all week long, going through just different things I find in the news that are interesting and mean something to photography. I spend a lot of time on Twitter and Facebook, just in different wedding photography groups and stuff, looking for different problems that people are going through. And like towards the end of every show, we answer like questions, and I try to find like the most ridiculous and weird questions I can find on Facebook, because photographers get into these Facebook groups and they just think like they're all private groups, and so they think they can say anything they want and ask like questions because it's a safe space.
Yes.
And it is a safe space, which is why I don't put them on blast and like say their name or anything when we do the questions on the show.
But you can say the question.
They're so funny, and there's such great stuff that comes up. And, sometimes Dustin and I can use that to kind of dovetail into like giving people helpful information. But it's more fun for me if we don't give any helpful information at all and just kind of make fun of them.
Or give them like the wrong information. I think that would be...
We do that quite a bit.
I like that. I love you guys. You kindred spirits, hashtag.
I have to set him up, so.
Yeah, Steve, we have to wrap this up, but dude, it's been amazing. Amazing talking to you. Thank you so much.
I've had a ton of fun. I was super nervous for this, and like just shaking in my seat. I've never done like a live thing before, so.
Oh, wow.
Glad I got this out of my system.
I like that. I've heard that from guests in the past. Like, they've been nervous before.
And even when I think Rob and I first did it, like, we were really nervous. It's hard to think, like, hey, people are watching me do this right now. Like, back in the day, when I first started editing the show, I was able to cut out all our mistakes. Now I don't. Like, it's all just there.
Yeah.
So, you know, it is.
Out
So,
there.
like, my main question for you guys, though, like, what do you do afterwards? Like, how do you clean up, like, the chair that you're in and stuff? Because, I mean,
I
shit
leave.
my pants while we're
I just leave.
He just leaves, and then I wake up like hungover the next morning, and I'm like, fuck, I gotta clean up.
Just throw it outside.
Yeah. Tell my roommate, I'm just
Nature.
like, yo, clean this up, and he's
Nature will
like,
take
okay.
care of
Clean
it.
this up, or I'm raising your portion of the rent, roommate. Steve, where can everybody find you?
You can find me on my podcast. It's Wedding Photo Hangover. And we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook as Wedding Photo Hangover, or, well, Twitter, it's Wed Pic Hangover, because you can't get all those letters in.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for me, it's just my name everywhere.
Awesome,
Steven Van Elk.
brother. Steven Van Elk?
All right.
Awesome, my man. Have a great rest of the night.
Have a good one, Steven.
Hey, thank you guys so much for having me on. This was a blast.
It's been
Absolutely,
awesome, man.
Yeah, it's so much fun.
All right. See you guys later.
Later,
Go
man.
on, bro.